one of the fastest wingers in the world, destroys defenders for fun, and just signed a new contract at Bilbao.
Yamal, it's going to go over to Williams now!
Un Atlético de Madrid que replegó, Nico le pega, ¡Nico! Te lo canto, es un golazo. ¡Gol!
I've seen him run the other day and I've never seen something so quick.
How dangerous is Nico Williams?
I don't think he will like to be 1-against-1 with him.
But what if I told you that he joined Athletic Bilbao by accident? And why did he reject FC Barcelona? This is the untold story of Nico Williams, born in Bilbao, Spain, on July the 12th, 2002. But his story begins long before his birth. It's a story of survival that began in the burning sands of the Sahara Desert. His parents, Felix and Maria, had left Ghana, but their journey turned into a nightmare. Human traffickers had promised them a way to England. But in the middle of the desert, they stopped and said the brutal words, "The journey ends here," and disappeared. Felix and Maria had to walk for hours in the hot sands of the Sahara Desert and somehow made it to Melilla, the Spanish region in North Africa. But as soon as they crossed the heavily armed border, they were immediately arrested by the Spanish police. Luckily, after a few days, they were finally set free, and they chose one city to rebuild their life: Bilbao, where 8 years later, Nico was born. What they didn't know is that that decision changed everything. But before his talent was discovered, there was a bigger problem. The family had no money. His mother worked 3 jobs, and their father moved to London and even worked as a Chelsea security guard, just to feed Nico and Iñaki. And so, there was only one person left to raise Nico, his brother Iñaki. He was just 10 years old, but he raised him like a father. Nico later said, "He is my brother, but he also acts as a father. He made me the person I am today." But Iñaki knew that there was only one way out, and that was football. When Iñaki was 18 years old, he was spotted by the Bilbao scouts. At the same time, 8-year-old Nico was watching Spain with Casillas and Iniesta win the World Cup in 2010 and knew his dream was to wear the Spanish jersey one day. So that same year, Nico immediately started playing football at his local club, CD Pamplona. He was so talented that just 2 years later, at 10 years old, he already joined Osasuna's youth academy. And just after a few games with Osasuna, Athletic Bilbao already wanted him in their academy. Of course they were. I mean, Bilbao already had the big brother Iñaki, the star of their under-18s who scored 21 goals in 31 games and already played with the first team. But now Iñaki even said, technically, Nico is better than me because he is both left and right-footed. And Nico later said, "When I was little, Iñaki always told me to train with my left foot." But there was one problem. Athletic Bilbao has one of the strictest rules in football. Only players born in the Basque region can play for the club. That's why Bilbao has one of the best scouting networks in Spain. However, for most kids, it means that they can never play for Bilbao. But for Nico, it was different. The decision of their parents to move to Bilbao changed everything. At just 12 years old, he joined Bilbao's academy. If his parents had ended up anywhere else in Spain, maybe he never got discovered. The very first day he arrived at Bilbao, the head scout, Andoni Bombin, already said, when Nico was in the under-12s, everyone knew that he would be one of the future stars of the club. And he was right. At just 17 years old, Nico was already promoted to Athletic Bilbao's B team, playing in Spain's 3rd division. His speed, dribbles and goals impressed everyone. In just 26 matches, he already scored 9 goals and delivered 11 assists. His coach, Gaizka Garitano, even said, "It was incredible watching Nico play. He is very fast and even more skillful than his older brother." That same year, a special moment happened. He got his first call-up for Spain's under-18s, and in just 4 games, he scored 2 goals. Also, some big coaches were already watching. Luis de la Fuente, manager of Spain's under-21s at the time, and a fan of Athletic Bilbao, had been following him for years. He skipped the under-19s completely and brought him straight into the under-21 squad. But it wasn't just Luis de la Fuente, also Marcelino, the first team coach of Bilbao, had his eyes on Nico and invited him for the first team. And a few months later, on April 28th, 2021, at just 18, his dream came true. He made his La Liga debut for Athletic Bilbao. Not just that, he was playing alongside his brother. Once a dream but now reality. And playing with your brother, it's like having a cheat code. When he was nearly taken out by a brutal tackle, his brother immediately started a fight with defender Chimi Avila. But Nico's start at Bilbao didn't go as planned. For months he was on the bench, and it got even worse. 10 months after his debut, he still didn't even have a single goal for Bilbao. Then, everything changed. In January 2022, he finally scored his first goal for Bilbao. But the next goal was even more special. In the semi-final of the Spanish Cup against rival Atletico Madrid, with the game tied 1-1, he scored the winning goal and sent Bilbao to the final. Even Luis Enrique, the head coach of Spain, had no other choice than to call Nico. But the timing was crazy. Spain had a crucial final group game in the Nations League against Portugal and Cristiano Ronaldo. Spain needed a win, otherwise they were out of the tournament. After 73 minutes, the score was still 0-0. Then, Nico came on, and in the final moments, he delivered a perfect pass to Morata, who only had to tap in the ball, which, let's be honest, he still sometimes manages to miss, but not this time. Spain reached the final, played a month later against Croatia, and won. But Nico wasn't even named in the squad. His performance at Bilbao earned him a place for the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. He impressed, but in the quarter-finals against Morocco, they lost on penalties. However, back home in Bilbao, there was still a chance to win his first trophy ever, the Copa del Rey, a title the club hadn't won in 40 years. But things went wrong early. Mallorca scored first. Then Nico dribbled to goal and delivered the perfect assist. The game went to penalties and Mallorca missed two. Bilbao had just won their first major trophy in 40 years, and he was even named man of the match. The embrace between him and his brother went viral instantly. By the end of his breakout season for Bilbao, he had scored 5 goals and delivered 13 assists in 31 games. Only Kevin De Bruyne outperformed him. More surprising, no one in La Liga was attempting more dribbles per 90 minutes than Nico, over 10 per match. Let that number settle for a second. But one player had more successful dribbles in total. And guess who? His best friend, Lamine Yamal. Just 2 months later. It was time for the Euros. Together with Yamal, we got the duo no one saw coming. Nico even said, "The Euros felt like a camping trip. Lamine and I were having so much fun." And they showed it. They went viral for dancing in the camp together. And on the pitch, they were scoring the most crazy goals, defeated defenders for fun, and danced after each goal. Nico even celebrated like Neymar. And against Italy, he attempted 11 dribbles, the most ever by a Spanish player in a single Euro match. They knocked out Germany, then France, until Spain reached the final against England. Then, after 47 minutes, Lamine gave the perfect pass. Nico scored the opening goal in the final. After 90 minutes and a 2-1 win, they were crowned champions of Europe. But this was a problem for Bilbao. They knew every big club wanted to sign Nico. Barcelona were already in talks. However, back in December, Bilbao had secured him on a new deal until 2027, with a release clause of 58 million, and that was a problem for Barcelona. They didn't want to pay it. But he didn't stop scoring. In the knockout against Roma with the score at 2-1, he scored twice and helped Bilbao to the quarter-finals against Rangers, where he scored again. However, his dream ended against Manchester United in the semi-finals, where they lost 7-1. But Bilbao finished 4th in La Liga, which meant that they qualified for the Champions League for the first time in 10 years. Nico was named in the UEFA Team of the Season, and he even won a Goal of the Month award in April, with a top corner goal with his left foot. And guess what? Barcelona came back for him. Now they wanted to pay the 58 million release clause. And let's be honest, it all made sense. His best friend Lamine Yamal was already there. Just look at what they did together during the Euros. However, some Bilbao fans called Nico a traitor and vandalised his mural. But there was one thing that stopped his move to Barcelona. It was his registration. The club still had money problems and couldn't promise Nico that he could play for Barcelona next season. The La Liga president Javier Tebas said that Barcelona is still spending too much money. They now even have difficulties registering their new goalkeeper Joan Garcia. Nico saw the problems at Barcelona and didn't want to take the risk. He chose to stay in Bilbao, becoming the best paid player ever with a salary of 10 million a year and a release clause of 100 million. And the announcement was even more crazy. In the middle of the night, he went back to his mural and wrote, 2,035 on it to announce his new contract extension at Bilbao. But for Nico, the real prize wasn't just the trophy or headlines. It was the opportunity to give back to his father and mother, who had given him everything. He said, "They risked their lives so that my brother and I have a better future. I will forever appreciate what my parents did for us." The family even visited the Sahara Desert to talk about their story. But his own story is far from over. He made history with Spain and proved that he's one of the most dangerous wingers in the world. So now the question is for you. Did Nico make the right choice by rejecting Barcelona? Let us know what you think, because one thing's for sure, Nico Williams isn't done yet. Thanks for joining us on this journey through Nico Williams' rise. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss the story of the next baller to watch.